everybody deserves access to this knowledge. What y'all think? What y'all think? Rich, poor, young, old, whether you got $10 to invest or whether you got $100,000 to invest, the information I'm going to share with you tonight will apply to all of you. All right. So tonight, if you stay here long enough and you pay attention, here's what you're going to walk away with, knowing that you didn't know before. Right. So you're going to understand and understand exactly why the stock market went up today. We're going to talk about that and why it could easily reverse too at the same time. But I want y'all to know that the Strait of Hormuz, whether it's going to open or close, we're going to talk about it. Why a narrow strip of water in the Middle East is controlling oil prices, gas prices, inflation in your city right now. All right, you're going to understand what the Federal Reserve is watching and what it means for your mortgage. Maybe if you got a mortgage or your rent, your car loan, your credit card rates. This is a big boy, big girl, grown up live, y'all. This is a grown up live stream. We mature, okay? So you're going to understand which individual stocks move today, big today, and exactly why, all right? And again, we're going to talk about SpaceX IPO. That's important to talk about. That dropped today. That could be one of the biggest investment events in this entire decade. I watched some of it, Jeannie. What did I miss? Who watched the Trump speech? What did I miss? What did I miss? Somebody in the chat tell me what I missed. Absolutely nothing. Not a damn thing. Okay. A nothing burger. Okay. Well, y'all let me know now. Drop a W in the chat if y'all ready for me to get started. I'm going to tell me where y'all watching from. What city and state. Let me see how big the family done gotten, man. What's up? Where y'all at? Where y'all watching from? Outside Tony Dunn, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. We got Chicago in the building. Houston, Texas. What's happening? Haiti in the building. Y'all, what's up, man? Welcome to the family. I'm glad y'all stopped through. Hit the follow button so I'll bump into you again. All right. I see Georgia in the building. Bay Area, California. What up? Detroit, LA. So we got the whole country in here, and I even see some international viewers, okay? This is the Ironwork family right there. That's what we built. That right there gives me so much energy. I appreciate y'all for being here. Now we're going to go ahead and get into it. Now, for those that don't know, I had somebody say, I'm going to come to your show, but I don't know what the hell going on. I don't understand that. So I got to make it simple for everybody, all right? What is the stock market, ladies and gentlemen? Truly, I got to let you know, what is it? Before I say any number today, I want to lay down a foundation, because if you don't understand the foundation, everything else is just noise, okay? So I'm going to start completely from scratch. It's going to be a bit of a cram course because I'm going to get this shit through. We got to get through it. So even if you already knew this stuff, I promise you, I'm going to say it in a way that's going to make it click even deeper, all right? So here's a question for y'all. Have y'all ever watched Shark Tank? Who watched Shark Tank? Anybody in here ever seen a TV show called Shark Tank? You know how a business owner walk into that room and say, I need $200,000 for 10% of my company. What they basically doing is selling a piece of their business to an investor in exchange for some money. Okay. So the investor get 10% ownership. If the company grow and become worth millions of dollars, that 10% that they put in is worth a lot more. But if the company failed, then the investor lose their money. That's the stock market. That's it. It's as simple as that. The stock market is Shark Tank, y'all, but at a massive global organized scale. So instead of one shark buying in, we the sharks, millions of regular people can buy tiny pieces called shares or stocks of publicly traded companies. Amazon, Google, Apple, Nike, McDonald's, Tesla. See, these companies have gone what they call public, which means they've offered to sell small pieces of themselves to anyone who wants to buy in. So when you buy one share of Apple, you literally own a fraction of that company, a tiny fraction, smaller than a grain of sand compared to the whole beach, but you still a partial owner. Okay, you have rights, and you might even get what they call dividends, which is where you get paid. That's like a profit sharing payment that the company makes to the shareholder. So you get paid just for being a shareholder. And if Apple value grows, your share grows in value too, ladies and gentlemen. Now, why would a giant company like Apple want to sell pieces of itself to random people like me and you? Does anybody know? because they need capital. That means they need money. They need money to grow. They got to hire engineers. They got to build new products. They need to expand into new markets. But by them selling shares to the public, they raise billions of dollars while still retaining control over the company. It's actually brilliant, right? Imagine you started a company and you just put it up on the sign. Okay, y'all, I'm allowing everybody to invest in it. And you take everybody money and you use that money to grow the company. Okay. Now, so the stock market is it's an organized place. It's like a marketplace where all this buying and selling of company shares happens, right? And in the United States, there's two main stock exchanges. All right. Two main stock exchanges. So we got the New York Stock Exchange. You'll see NYSE. That's the New York Stock Exchange, which is the famous one. That's the one you hear about on Wall Street. Okay. With the opening bell. Do the bell ringing and shit like high school. And then we got the NASDAQ, which is more high tech focused. It's technology focused. You got trillions. When I say trillions, I mean that's a lot of money. Trillions of dollars change hands on these exchanges every single day. Futures is also a $1 trillion market, multi-trillion, trillions, not just 1 trillion, not 2 trillions of dollars. So every day. Now, here's the part that most people don't fully grasp. The price of a stock at any given moment is simply the price that the most recent buyer and seller agreed on. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. The price of a stock at any given moment is only that price because that's the most recent price that the buyer and seller agreed on. That's it. If I want to sell my Apple shares and I find somebody willing to pay $175 for them, Apple's stock price is $175 a share. And if suddenly a bunch of people all want to sell their Apple shares at the same time and it ain't enough buyers, the price gonna fall until the sellers and the buyers agree. That's it. If suddenly everybody want to buy Apple because Apple announces they got an amazing new product that just came out, okay, the price gonna rise because pretty much the demand will outstrip the supply. What do I mean by the demand outstripping supply? Let's say your grandmama baking cookies and she baked the best cookies, but she only making 12 cookies at a time. But 150 people want these cookies every time she make them. Okay. She ain't got enough supply for the demand. Now, this is why stock prices move constantly throughout the day. Every second, thousands of trades are happening, y'all. Every second, every buy and sell order affects the price. And those orders are driven by information, earnings, reports, news headlines, blah, blah, blah. Anything that changes what people think a company will be worth in the future changes what they're willing to pay for it right now. So the most important sentence I'm going to say to y'all about investing is this. The stock market ain't no fucking casino. Excuse my French, but it's not. It's not random. It's not a machine that you can that's just going to process information and convert that information into prices. So when you understand this information, which is what we're doing right now, then you will understand the market. So before today, when you thought of the stock market, what word came to mind first, y'all? When y'all first think about the stock market, just put one word in the chat. Just let me see what people think the market is. Huh? I'm going to wait. Talk to me. Was it complicated? Is it risky? Is it confusing? Okay, Don said confusing. Okay, that's okay. I was expecting complicated, risky, confusing, money, etc. You see what I'm saying? That's what come to mind. Wealth. That's right. Intimidating. Okay, it's all right. We're going to get it together, Don. Now, we're going to talk about the 3 big market indexes real quick because these are the numbers that you're going to hear about everywhere on the news and conversation everywhere. And once you understand what each one actually is and represent, you will never be confused by a market headline. Okay. Now, by the way, who could tell me what is an index? I know y'all hear the word a lot. What is an index? We're going to get this work tonight. This not one of them live streams where I'm just going to talk a bunch of jargon and shit and you don't even know what I'm saying. We're going to break it down so everybody can get it. And the people that know, if you know, drop it in the comment section. Now's your time to shine. Get your shine on. An index is basically a list of specific stocks that are used together to represent a bigger market. That's it. It is basically a folder of stocks. It is a basket of stocks. You understand what I'm saying? Think of it like a sample. You can't check the grades of every single student in a school to know how the school is performing, but you can take a sample of about 500 of their little asses and get a very accurate picture. So that's what the market indexes do. They sample a group of stocks and they use them to represent the whole market's performance. Something like an ETF. Yeah, it's ZET. Yeah, it's that. So index number one, the S&P 500, right here. Okay. Some of us trade SPY, which is the ETF for the S&P 500. So look at this first card right here on the screen, the S&P 500, ladies and gentlemen. Right? This is the most important index in the world. I would say period, like my sister them. I'm going to say exclamation mark, though. Full stop. So when professional investors, financial advisors, you know what I'm saying, news anchors, analysts, etc., when any of them say the market, quote unquote, the market, they almost always mean the S&P 500. It tracks the 500 biggest publicly traded companies in America, and it represents about 80% of the total value of the entire U.S. stock market. So it's not just a sample. It is most of the market, ladies and gentlemen. The 500 companies that's in the S&P include every industry you can think of. You got technology companies like Apple in it. Microsoft is in it. Google's in it. Amazon is in SPY. Meta. You got healthcare companies like Johnson & Johnson, United Health. You got financial companies like, help me out here, y'all. Chase. What else? Bank of America, JP Morgan. Yes, it is different than the Dow. I'm going to get to the Dow in a second, Don. I got you. So you got energy companies in S&P too, like Exxon Mobil, Chevron, Walmart, Target, Costco, McDonald's, 45, 47. I'm talking about, and the list goes on. Nike. We got industrial companies, utilities, real estate. I'm talking about, it is a complete cross section of the American economy. You see what I'm saying? So today, the S&P 500 closed at $6,575.36. That's up 46.84 points, or just 70.72%. Now that number 6,575, that right there, that don't mean that a stock costs 6,575. The index is a composite. It is a score built up from calculations going all the way back to 1957 when the index started. I know this is the complicated part, but what matters is the percentage change. That the fact that it's up 0.72% today. Now that means the average value of those 500 companies grew by 0.72% today. So for the S&P 500, a 0.72% gain is solid. It's a healthy day. It's not a crazy blowout, but consistently positive. You see what I'm saying? Now, index number two, the NASDAQ composite. This is what we're going to talk about. I'll be wanting to say composite so bad. Now look at this. Look at this second card right here. All right, look at this one right here. The NASDAQ is also an index, but it's heavily tilted toward technology. This one is mostly technology stocks. When you see NASDAQ, you think about Silicon Valley. Anybody in the chat from Silicon Valley? I know you is, JB. Think innovation when you think NASDAQ, all right? Think about the future. Think about the future when you think about NASDAQ or QQQ. All right, like Apple, Microsoft, Google's parent company called Alphabet. We got Amazon, Meta, Tesla. What else? Y'all help me out here now. Come on now. I ain't by myself in here. Name some stocks that's in the QQQ, that's in NASDAQ that I missed. Did I say in the video? These are the NASDAQ's biggest players, okay? Either way it go, y'all. The NASDAQ tends to be more volatile than the S&P 500. Who's still confused about volatility and what volatility means and what does volatile mean? We gotta make it simple. I'm about to get my squeaky ass chair because I don't like this new one. The squeaky one is comfortable. It's comfortable. First day here. What's up, Nina? What's happening? Hit the follow button so I can bump into you again. Huh? You don't want to miss another live stream. I don't want you to miss a show, so go ahead and hit the follow button. I got you. All right, so yeah, volatility, y'all. Volatile means that whenever you hear somebody say that stock has a lot of volatility in it or that stock is very volatile, it just means that it's going to swing more dramatically in both directions. It is going to go up a lot and it's going to go down a lot. See what I'm saying? So a lot of technology companies, they are valued based on future growth potential. Basically, what I'm saying is we go off of what they're going to do in the future to determine how much they are worth to us now. And future growth potential is more sensitive to changes in interest rates and investor sentiment. What I'm saying there is what we think they're going to be worth in the future is actually changing based on what we going off of right now. Our sentiment, what we think. When things feel good, the NASDAQ will fly. And when shit feels scary, the NASDAQ going to fall harder than the other ones. Because, I mean, look at what happened today. The NASDAQ closed up over 1%, 1.16%, 250 points at 21,840. That's a strong day. But also, I'm going to tell y'all something else fascinating that I noticed that happened today. So this morning, before noon, the NASDAQ was up up 1.8%. Okay, now the news broke. It started talking about some additional U.S. military aircraft being sent out there to the Middle East. And the NASDAQ slid from 1.8% to eventually close at 1.16%. Now, it's still green. It's still a good day, but y'all can literally see investor psychology in those numbers. I pay attention to hope and fear, greed and shit like that, right? Hope is what pushed it to 1.8. Fear is what pulled it back. So the number tells you where the fight ended at. Okay? The number tells you where the fight ended at. Now, the third index we're going to talk about is the Dow. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, right? This is the granddaddy of all the stock index. This is the granddaddy of all the indexes, the Dow. People just call it the Dow, okay? We're just going to call it the Dow. This was created in 1896 by Charles Dow and Edward Jones. 1896 by Charles Dow and Edward Jones, right? Now, it only tracks 30 companies, but these are 30 of the most iconic, established, blue chip American corporations. I'm talking about Boeing, Goldman Sachs, which is the weirdest name to ever name somebody. Goldman Sachs, all right, whatever. American Express, McDonald's in there, Nike in there, Microsoft, Walt Disney in there, Home Depot in the Dow. So because it only covers 30 stocks, the Dow is sometimes criticized as being too narrow. A lot of people don't really fuck with it, but it stood the test of time as a symbol of American business wealth. They've been around. So when your daddy or your mama or your grandparents, when they watch the evening news and hear, oh, the market was up 200 points today, they talking about the Dow. Today it closed at 46,565, up 224 points or 0.48%. This is also steady. And it's also positive. Now, I'm going to give y'all a key insight that I want y'all to walk away with. When all three of the indexes go up like this, when all three of them go up in the same day, that's what we call broad market strength, right? This is called broad market strength. It means the positive energy is not just in one corner of the market. It's widespread. It ain't just health. It ain't just the healthcare. It ain't just, retail. It ain't just bank financial sector. It ain't just, because of the war. Literally, this is broad market strength, widespread. So today, the S&P was up. The NASDAQ was up. The Dow was up. All three of them green. That's a healthy signal. But today's gains was built on hope. Hope about a war ending. Antonio, you can't get to this page. This page was built specifically for this live stream. This is not a public website. I built this using AI just for tonight. Only for tonight. It gave me this whole setup. Shout out to Claude Claude AI. It's amazing, Antonio. It's amazing. Yeah, I created this using AI. I know how to use, I don't learn how to speak to it, prompt, code, you name it. I used AI to teach me how to code. I said, teach me how to program and code and be a coder. Teach me how to use AI. AI taught me how to use AI, ladies and gentlemen, and it could teach you too. Let's use these resources, right? You see it. Anyways, like I said, this is a healthy signal, y'all. But it's built on hope. So we got to treat today's green with some caution. We have to pay attention. We can't just think that, oh, the market is finna fully recover. Well, nah, it don't necessarily mean that. I just got to make sure that y'all know how to read a stock market day. Right. So now that's a skill that's going to serve you for the rest of your life, whether you know it or not. It's called reading the context of a market day. This is about understanding not just what the market did, but why, and whether that why is actually built on solid ground or if it's built on sand. All right. So think about two scenarios. We're going to think about two situations. All right. In scenario number one, and let's say scenario A, the S&P 500 goes up 0.72% because three major companies reported that their earnings beat expectations, right? Sales was up. The company had a lot of sales. They made a lot of profits. They made a lot of money. The customers were spending everything real and concrete. That is a green day built on fundamentals. There's actual business performance. In scenario B, which is much closer to what happened today, the S&P 500 go up the same amount, 0.72%, but this time it's only because investors are hoping that a war might end soon. Not a ceasefire has been announced. No agreement has been reached. Just plain hope. Hope based on one side saying that they open to talk. That's a green day built on what was called sentiment, emotion, and expectations. This shit has not been confirmed to be reality yet, right? Now, both days look the same on the chart. S&P 500 up 0.72%, but they are completely different in terms of how durable that gain actually is. So the fundamentals driven day, the day that was driven by the fundamentals, that gain is likely to stick, meaning it might keep going up. The company made more money. The stock is worth more. End of the day. That's the end of the discussion. End of story. But the day that's driven on sentiment, the sentiment driven day, one single headline, like news of military aircraft being deployed, can wipe out a chunk of those gains in seconds or minutes, right? This is exactly what happened today. So how do you figure out what kind of day it is, y'all? How do you figure out what kind of day it is? How do you know the difference? We're doomed. No, I'm just talking shit. You pay attention. You just pay attention to stories like the ones we cover here every Wednesday. You ask, why are stocks up today? You know, what type of news is driving this right now? Is that news confirmed or is this just speculation? Is this shit based on real data or is this on feelings? See, the more you practice this, the better your investor instincts, your spidey senses and shit start tingling. The better your investor instincts become. And eventually when you hear a headline on the news, your brain automatically start asking the right questions that's going to be lucrative for you instead of just taking the number at face value, just looking at it and shit, right? Any questions before I continue? And if the words is too small, y'all, you could turn your phone sideways and zoom in. Yeah, you can turn your phone sideways and zoom in. I want y'all to, I'm showing y'all these mini charts at the bottom of each index card on the screen. These little bar charts, they represent how the price trended throughout the day. Right here. Right? Look at the S&P 500. You can see it generally climbed in the morning. Y'all can just look at it on your own charts. And oil dropped about, look at the oil chart too. I want y'all in this whole situation, When you watching SPY, watch oil too, because just pay attention to how they move versus each other. Because this morning, it climbed, but it leveled off in the afternoon after the military news hit. And then the oil, you can see that it was a wild swing. Oil dropped about 7% from its early high before bouncing back and closing down about 3%. Now, this kind of violent intraday swing, this swing that happened within the day is what happens when markets are trying to figure out conflicting information. They don't know what the fuck going on. It's hope versus fear right now. Optimism versus military escalation. The chart telling the whole story. I want a real answer from y'all after everything I just explained, okay? The market going up on hope, not confirmed facts. How does that make you feel about today's gains? Are you confident? What up, Peaches? Are you confident? Are you nervous? Are you somewhere in between? How do y'all feel about what do y'all feel like this shit is over with? You still bullish or you bearish? I want a real answer. Let me know. Don said it's going to reverse. What y'all think? Don said it's going to reverse. Are y'all bullish or bearish right now after everything I just explained? Bearish, but we'll see. What else? Come on, what else, y'all? It doesn't look good, says Nina. I don't feel good about that. Okay. So we skeptical. I see some people skeptical in the chat. That means y'all not gonna be the type of people that just go and blindly buy some shit tomorrow. As far as trading goes. I've been out the game. I came for some inspiration. Oh yeah, Peaches, now is the time. Now is the time. Okay? You came back at the right time. You was out the game at the right time. You see how divine your timing is, Peaches? What did Trump say at 9 p.m. and how did futures react? I heard it was a big nothing burger, John. It was a nothing burger. Y'all, we finna take a water break. Everybody take a break. We've been talking for about it ain't even been an hour. It felt like an hour. It's only been 30 minutes. But I'm about to get some water real quick, y'all. Rock with me because the next part of the show, we're going to talk about why, the world politics control your cost of living. Because whatever the fuck they got going on right now, y'all felt it when the gas hit $5 a gallon. I'll be right back. All right. Yeah, we felt them gas prices. Yeah, we did. Now, welcome back. Welcome back to the Ironworth Trading Wednesday night watch list. If y'all just joining in, I'm Coach Price. We in the first hour still. I couldn't believe we ain't even been an hour in, but because I've been running my mouth. But y'all have joined at the perfect time because I'm about to blow your mind. We're going to go deep into this geopolitical situation that we dealing with, the U.S.-Iran conflict. See, I'm going to connect every dot real quick between what's happening in the Middle East. We're going to talk about what's happening in the Middle East and what's happening in your wallet, your gas prices, your grocery bill, your energy costs, etc. Your mortgage rate, it all connects. It all connects, y'all. And by the end of this, you're going to be able to explain to anybody why a war thousands of miles away affects the price of a burger at McDonald's. That's a superpower, whether you know it or not. Now, let's get into it. Can anybody tell me what is geopolitics anyways? What is geopolitics? I said politics. What is geopolitics? John says gas going to keep going up because of the infrastructure that was damaged. Peaches said mortgage increased by $200. Utilities was over $600 for 2 months. These is real stats, people. See, they on top of it, man. They on top of it. Geopolitics. I know that word sounds like a college textbook, so I'm going to break it down to the simplest form, right? Geo, which means of the earth, geography, physical places. And then politics. That means how governments make decisions and exercise power. So geopolitics just means the way the physical layout. This is the way the physical layout of the earth, where countries are, what resources they have, what waterways they control, affects how governments behave and how they compete for power and influence. And this is why that matters to you personally. The entire global economy runs on supply chains. Goods and resources moving from where they produce to where they need it at. Do you understand? They make the shit in China. We need the shit over here. Oil gets pumped out of the ground in Saudi Arabia and in Iran and in Iraq. It goes onto tanker ships. Them ships sail through the specific, I said specific. Let's say through specific sea routes. That way I don't sound like I was talking about the Pacific Ocean. Those oil barrels get refined into gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, and thousands of other products. And them products power your car, heat your home, ship your Amazon packages, and they fly the planes that y'all travel on. Now, what happens? Chill out, Peaches. What happens when somebody put a giant roadblock in the middle of this supply chain that I just told y'all about? They just threw a wrench in the whole operation, right? Now, the whole system finna be backed up. Prices gonna go up. We have all these shortages starting to develop, and the economic pain starts to spread outward from that blockade like ripples in a pond. At first it's hitting the energy prices, then the transportation costs, then the food costs, then the manufactured goods, then everything else. And that's exactly what the U.S.-Iran conflict is doing to the global economy right now. And the Strait of Hormuz is that roadblock. See what I'm saying? The Strait of Hormuz is that roadblock. Mooney says people are screwed. Now I'm going to explain it a little bit more. Everything y'all need to know, we're going to talk about it, right? We're going to talk about it. This is important. We're going to take our time. Let's talk about the Persian Gulf. Y'all know what that is? The Persian Gulf is a body of water in the Middle East, roughly 600 miles long and 200 miles wide at most points. Okay, y'all know we got to nerd out just a little bit. Hold on, let me get this back up here. There we go. Now, it's surrounded by some of the most oil-rich countries on the planet. We got Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq, Qatar. I might butcher the hell out some of these names. Bahrain, the UAE, and Iran. So under those countries, under the Gulf itself, are some of the world's largest oil reserves. Billions upon billions of barrels of oil pumped out every day and loaded onto giant tanker ships. But this is the problem. The Persian Gulf has only one mother-loving exit, one way out to the open ocean. And that exit is called the Strait of Hormuz. This is a narrow channel at the southeastern end of the Gulf where it connects to the Arabian Sea. At its narrowest point, the Strait of Hormuz is only about 21 miles wide. 21 miles, y'all. 21. That's about the distance from downtown Atlanta to the airport. And through that 21-mile channel, approximately 17 to 21 million barrels of oil pass every single day. Do you hear what I'm saying? So I'm gonna put this in terms that y'all can visualize. If you lined up oil barrels end to end, a standard oil barrel. I'll be trying not to sound. Now listen. I don't want the Memphis to come out. A standard oil barrel is about 35 inches tall. 21 million barrels. And the line was stretched for over 11,000 miles. That's almost half the circumference of the earth every single day. So this is all happening through a channel barely wider than a city's drive to the airport. Now that you understand the leverage that Iran has, they control the coastline on one side of that strait. They got military bases near it. They got naval boats, submarines, anti-ship missiles, drone capabilities, thousands of mines that they can deploy, all type of shit just waiting on you over there. If they decide to close that strait, even just a little bit, they can fuck up the flow of energy towards Europe, towards Asia, the United States, Japan, South Korea, India, the entire developed world. Peaches says that's how they say it in NOLA too. Earl, I'm trying not to say it like that, Peaches. Now, this is exactly what they done did in this conflict. That's what we dealing with. Iran has deployed assets to threaten and disrupt shipping through that strait. They done did it already. Oil prices shot to $100 per barrel and higher once this happened. Global shipping costs rose. The insurance for oil tankers going through the region skyrocketed because the risk of attack went up. They need security. Top flight security of the world, Craig. They need top flight. So some of these shipping companies rerouted their tankers around the entire continent of Africa just to get the shit. Listen, they got the pack to where it needed to go. But that adds week on top of weeks to the journey. Literally. For them to try to avoid one area on some scary shit. So all of that, not even scary, let's just say smart. It's business. But they doing all this to avoid the conflict. All of that makes oil more expensive to deliver, which makes everything more expensive. John says businesses are going to capitalize on the perception to lock in profits and increase margins. Makes sense to me. I think it's going to be some type of relief too from it. Like, shit don't just happen and then we don't get relief. I know it do happen and we don't get relief. I know that sounded crazy, but we'll get some type of relief. You best believe it. If your business was affected by something, there'll be some type of fucking tax write-off or some type of fucking program you can sign up for that they just gonna use to print money and give money out. I don't know. I'm just saying, who am I? I'm just going off what they did in the past. Tar Heel, what's happening? So in all seriousness, Trump thought he bullied Iran. Now he trying to roll it back, says Peaches. Well, we don't know, Peaches. That's what I'm about to talk about too, because Trump came out today with a very direct statement. He said, in essence, Iran's new president has asked for a ceasefire, and we will not consider a ceasefire until they open up the fucking Strait of Hormuz. Until then, we're going to bomb Iran. We're going to go across their mother head. All right, we're going to go across their head. That's what he said. I'm just saying what he said. He said this was very tough language. He also he said that he think Iran new president is more rational than the previous one, which might be a small opening for diplomacy. Peaches said he lies. If y'all agree with Peaches, put a W in the chat. He said he lies. Look at all these W's. Damn, y'all. Okay, I feel you. They like, we don't want to hear that shit, man. It ain't over with until it's over with. Look at all them W's. Yeah. But the hard line is no ceasefire without the strait. So Iran's response was equally direct. Iran responded. Their foreign ministry said the Strait of Hormuz is under firm and absolute control of Iran. It will not be open to enemies. And they called Trump's ceasefire offer false. They said the same thing y'all saying. He lies. Suggesting that they don't believe that he genuinely seeking peace. They like, bro, we don't fucking believe you. So you got a full standoff happening right now. Mexican standoff. No, I'm just playing, y'all. I'm just playing all my Latinas and Latinos. I'm just joking. I don't even know if that's offensive or not. I'm just playing. Now, in the middle of this standoff, the strait stays closed or threatened. That's what's happening right now. Oil is going to stay elevated and your cost of living stays higher than it should be. See what I'm saying? So here's something I need y'all to understand about the economic impact that this is having on you personally. right? Not just the price of gas, but the price of gasoline at the pump is directly tied to the price of crude oil. But there is a bit of a lag. Do y'all know what I'm trying to tell you now? You picking up what I'm laying down? So when crude oil prices go up today, it takes a few weeks for that higher price to work its way through the refinery system and show up at your gas station. So the oil prices we seeing right now, they hovering at $100 per barrel. That's gonna hit your wallet harder in the coming weeks, though, than they hitting you now. So the worst is ahead of us. If there's no resolution soon, if they don't fix this shit soon, we got worse to come. It's gonna get worse before it get better. And it's not just fucking gasoline. Diesel fuel is what powers every 18-wheeler, every delivery truck, every farm tractor in America. When diesel get expensive, everything that gets transported gets more expensive to move. Tar Heel says, fuck, new car. That's right. And I just got a diesel. Grocery stores pay more to have their shelves restocked. Online retailers pay more for delivery. Restaurants pay more to receive their ingredients. And all of those increased costs to get passed on to you. All of them increased costs coming to you through higher prices. That's the direct line between the Strait of Hormuz and your grocery receipt. Have y'all already noticed the gas prices going up in the past few weeks? Tell me, are y'all starting to see the higher prices at the grocery store? Tell me yes or no. That's all I want to see. Just let me know. Yes or no. Gas went up $1. Food prices I haven't noticed, $65 to $92. Whew. Sheesh Louise. Damn. Heck yeah, bill has went up at least $150 to $200 more a week. Yeah. So, yeah, man, it's serious. And I want to also tell y'all the story about an airplane, because today, one news story about one type of airplane literally cut the stock market's afternoon rally in half. And y'all got to understand why. I got to tell you why, or what this plane is and what this plane is designed to do, so you really can understand. Peaches said, yeah, I saw a $28 pack of hamburgers this week. That's fucking crazy. That shit better be made of, that shit better be unicorn. That shit better be made of unicorn thigh meat. I don't know what it better be made of, Peaches. Talking about $28 a pack. That shit must have been, let me shut up. But look, y'all gotta understand about this airplane real quick. So the A-10 Thunderbolt, the A-10 Thunderbolt 2. But everybody call this plane, they call it the Warthog, because honestly, it is not a pretty aircraft. I wish I had a picture of it. See if I could find a picture of it real quick. Oh man, fuck the picture. Imagine an ugly ass plane. Now this was designed in the 1970s for one specific purpose, y'all. It was for close front. It's very close air support. That means flying low and slow and directly over a battlefield so that they can destroy enemy ground forces. They can get rid of tanks, artillery. They can supply convoys, small vessels, etc. It's the kind of aircraft that you send in when you got some soldiers on the ground that need air cover and direct fire support right there, right now type shit, like very close range. Tar Heel said, we are going to go in on a whole cow and break that up into sections, okay? Peaches says, is it great? Yeah, I think it is, Peaches. The plane, yeah, I think it is. So the Warthog carries a massive 30 millimeter Gatling cannon. This is a big gun, y'all. This shit can spin and fire almost 4,000 rounds per minute. So I want you to think about 1 minute going by and think about 4,000 bullets coming out of this gun within that minute. 4,000 bullets. It's probably more than that. I'm just giving you a bracket. example, a crackhead example of what I think that gun sound like. Basically, it's heavily armored to take hits from ground fire too and keep flying. It can carry a variety of bombs and missiles. And crucially, unlike stealth bombers or fighter jets that zip in at high altitude and leave in seconds, right? The A-10 can loiter over a battlefield for hours. This shit could just sit over a battlefield for hours and then circle back. It can make pass after pass. This is a weapon of sustained, long duration ground combat. Now, here's the military's intelligence read on the A-10 that markets absorbed instantly when the news dropped. Y'all think I'm just talking about this shit because I'm an army man? No, crazy man. This shit got something to do with the stock market. All right. Stealth bombers and cruise missiles, those are for precision strikes. You use them for to shock and awe, right? They hit specific targets very fast. You demonstrate overwhelming force and you get a quick resolution. You use the fancy shit when you expect a short conflict. But the A-10 Warhawk, that's what you saying when you digging in, when you planning to be fighting in the region for months. When you need aircraft that can support troops in messy close quarters, ongoing combat rather than fly in, drop a bomb, and fly home type shit. So when the Pentagon announcing this doubling this Warhawk deployment, going from 18 to 36 of these aircrafts in the Middle East, the military reading community, there's a lot of analysts on Wall Street who do exactly this. Immediately interpreted this shit as this is going to be a long day. This conflict is going to be long. Peaches said, so I'm near Fort Bragg and we've been seeing weird planes that aren't commercial riding slow and low. I don't know why they over here. They probably practicing for what they finna have to do over there, Peaches. But yeah, thank y'all for the follow and for the gifts. I appreciate y'all for the gifts so much. Yeah, so a long conflict means if we got to deal with this war longer than what we have to, all right, the Strait of Hormuz is gonna stay threatened for longer. This shit's oil stays higher for longer. Global supply chains stay disrupted for longer. Economic pain stays elevated for longer. None of this shit is good for stocks. None of this is good for the stock market, for business growth, or for the economy in general. I mean, unless you look at it like you a long-term investor and you planning on buying the dip on all this shit. But investors who have been buying in the morning on the ceasefire that was happening, right? We thought the war was finna be over, so you started to buy. They had a moment of cold clarity in the afternoon when they started talking about these airplanes going out there, and they sold some of what they bought that morning. The NASDAQ, which had been up 1.8, fell back down to just a little bit. They always up more than what they ended at. So the market intelligence is not hard to get. This is market intelligence at work. This is why professional investors don't just read financial news. They read military news. They read geopolitical news, diplomatic news, right? In today's age, we on Twitter for a reason. We not just on Twitter for what you on Twitter, on Expo. I stopped calling it Twitter, but yeah. We reading all this information, not just financial news. I want to know about all of it. I'm studying the troop movements and the weapon deployments the same way they study earning reports. Because in the current environment that we in, a decision at the Pentagon got just as much of an impact on our portfolio as fucking Apple got earnings, as you know what I'm saying, a quarterly earnings call at Apple. So the world is that much interconnected right now, y'all. It is that much interconnected. Now, Trump is seriously considering leaving NATO. Let's move to a story that I think is also historic. This could change the global order in ways that could also last decades. Trump said today that he is seriously considering withdrawing the United States from NATO. And I need to explain to y'all why that statement is also one of the most consequential things said by any type of a president or our president in our recent memory. What is NATO? What is NATO? Remember Bernie Mac said, I don't know NATO. You know NATO? Rest in peace, Bernie Mac. He said, I don't know no NATO. He said, NATO owe me $30. He still owe me $30 to this day. What up? What up? What up? Mike. It's an alliance. Okay. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization. That's what NATO stands for. North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It was founded in 1949, right after World War II, when Europe was in ruins and the Western world was deeply worried about the Soviet Union. They was thinking that the Soviet Union was going to expand its power across the continent. So the founding members was the U.S., Canada, the UK, France, and several others. They signed a treaty with one central commitment. An attack on one is an attack on all. If Soviet tanks rolled into France, the United States would treat it as Soviet tanks had rolled into New York. So that guarantee of collective defense is called Article 5 of the NATO treaty, right? That guarantee, for sure, that guarantee backed by American military power and America's nuclear arsenal is what kept the Cold War from becoming World War III for 40 years. European countries could spend their money on education and healthcare and infrastructure instead of massive military buildups because they had the American security umbrella protecting them. All right. The Soviet Union knew that attacking any NATO member meant they had to fight the whole game. That means that this finna be the full might of the United States. So they ain't do it. They knew not to buck. Now, today, NATO got 32 member countries, including most of the Western and Eastern Europe. But the U.S., we add about 70% of NATO's total military spending. That is how dominant American military investment is within that alliance. You understand what I'm saying? So fast forward to today, the U.S. launched military operations against Iran, right? They needed to move military aircraft. They needed passage rights through some NATO member countries' airspace. And according to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, those NATO allies refused. They said, fuck no. They did not want to be seen as participating or facilitating a conflict with Iran that they didn't vote for and didn't sign up for. They said, bro, you on your own. We ain't got nothing to do with this shit. So Trump and Hegseth's response was basically, so you saying that when we needed you, you ran like a bitch, right? I'm sorry, excuse my French, but that's how they've treated it. They like, but if Russia ever threatened you, though, you expect us to pop up and help you, right? That's not a real alliance. That's a one-way street. And Trump said, here's what we're going to do. I'm seriously considering leaving NATO entirely. I'm done with y'all. Fuck y'all. Now, regardless of how y'all view what's going on, this show right here is completely non-partisan. I don't give a fuck about neither party. I'm not here to tell you what to think politically. The financial implications of a potential U.S. NATO withdrawal are enormous. Do you understand? I'm gonna say it again. The financial implications. That's all we talking about. This is what can happen economically if the U.S. actually left NATO. John said, looking to see how SPY responds around the Fault 200 moving average, might get a double top daily out of this. Yeah, Europe. If the U.S. actually leaves NATO, European countries would suddenly be defenseless without the American security umbrella. Can y'all imagine that? They would have to build up their own militaries and very fucking fast. I got to stop cussing, y'all. Excuse my friend. But yeah, they're going to have to get it together. We got a lot of countries like Germany and France, Italy, Spain, Poland, all of them would have to spend hundreds of billions of euros on weapons, aircraft, ships, troops. See, that type of spending would have to come from somewhere, right? Where would they get it from? Probably higher taxes. And they're going to redirect some government funds. Economic growth in Europe would slow as the defense spending crowds out other investments because they're going to be trying to get their military together. So they're going to be neglecting other shit. Can we be on the right side of both on this, the market and geopolitical? I think so. Mike. I think so, Filthy. But, not everyone could view it that way. But we're going to talk about it from an investor point of view, right? So for my investors out there, two things can happen. First, European defense companies get massive contracts. Think about that. Think about that as we think about money, man. You hear me? This is we're going to get the money. If this happens, two things can happen. All right. All those European defense companies will get massive contracts. Companies like how the fuck you pronounce that? Rheinmetall in Germany. BAE Systems in the UK. We got Leonardo in Italy. KNDS in France. I'll make a video to show y'all some of the companies that would see their order books explode if that was to happen. Then we got some American defense companies that sell to NATO allies like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman. I always can't pronounce the fuck out. Y'all know who I'm talking about though. They also benefit as European nations scramble to arm themselves if that was to happen. The defense sector broadly will be a major winner if this was to actually in a post-NATO world. Now, Trump actually gonna pull out of NATO? Do we know? Y'all say he lies. But will they sell if U.S. leave NATO? Oh, it's a good question, Peaches. But is he actually going to pull out of NATO? So historically, making statements like this has been a part of Trump negotiating. Like, he'll just say some shit because he know what he doing. He just want them to know, listen, I want y'all to think about what y'all just did when I told y'all that when I say pull up, Craig in trouble, quick, urgent message. Mr. William said, Craig in trouble, come quick. And you don't come, help me please. Your ass is grass, Mr. See, he told NATO, you ain't gonna have to worry about catching no dog. You're gonna have to worry about a dog catching your ass. So, yeah, this is how he negotiated. He did this in his first term too. But this time feels different because of the context. So in the middle of an active military conflict where allies actually refuse to cooperate, this is different. This raises the stakes. This is dumb as fuck. I'm not in agreement with none of this shit that's going on. I'm pretty sure y'all not either, but whoop-de-doo, I'm looking at this shit from a financial point of view. It is presenting an opportunity. The markets are watching carefully at this situation, though. This is high impact, okay? High impact. Do y'all think Trump actually gonna withdraw from NATO? More importantly, does this kind of shit right here change how y'all think about investing in defense stocks? Are y'all invested in any defense stocks? I'm gonna land this plane on this whole Iran situation by telling y'all what Iran is saying and what U.S. intelligence agencies are assessing from the situation, because the gap between those two things is very important for us to be able to understand what happens next. So they president, I think his name is, I'm going to just say Peasy because I don't know how to pronounce it. Iranian President Peasy wrote an open letter this week directly to the American people. Do y'all hear me? Not to Trump, not to diplomats, but to you and I. And his main arguments was Iran is acting in legitimate self-defense. The United States military has surrounded Iran with bases and carrier groups, and that constitutes a threat to Iranian sovereignty. The attacks on Iranian infrastructure, electricity, water, industrial facilities constitute war crimes under international law. And he urged Americans to ask whether this war actually serves the America First agenda or whether it's being fought for other countries' interests. Now, U.S. intelligence agencies have given their own assessment. Iran has no intention of serious negotiations right now. The intelligence communities read is that the Iranian government believes it is winning this standoff. They've closed the Strait of Hormuz, which is causing massive economic pain for the West and for American consumers. Every week this continues, it puts more political pressure on the U.S. government to find a way out. Iran is betting that eventually the American public is going to get tired of the fucking gas prices. We're going to get tired of high inflation, and an endless war is going to get on our nerves, and we will demand that the government going to stand down. That's what they betting on with this whole situation. They halfway true. They not dumb. They know we going to get pissed. It's only so much gas. Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you like this. It's only so much we going to pay for gas before y'all start seeing people act a little cuckoo at these pumps and shit. We need to just go back to horses and shit and ride bikes. until it's over with. I'm proud to be an American, and at least I know I'm free looking at, right? I get on a bike, I ride a bike to work or something till this shit over with, because what they not finna do is hold this oil over our head like that. Okay. Let me see something. TikTok trying me, asking me to do a puzzle in the middle of the live. It's just the dumbest shit ever. May have no choice. Right. So Iran also claims that they say that they done shot down 150 American and Israeli drones. And they stated that their goal isn't just a ceasefire. It's a complete withdrawal of U.S. military forces in the Middle East. They saying, hey, bro, we don't want you to just stop shooting. We want you to get the fuck away from over here. LMT, not looking good from a chart perspective, says John Beasley. That's Lockheed Martin. Now, there is a demand. That is a demand that the United States is basically, they essentially 0% likely to agree to. They are not about to just leave the fuck from over there. So you got some maximalist demands on both sides. Intelligence saying there's no real negotiation happening right now. Military escalation continuing on the ground. Somebody gonna have to put that fire to somebody to make this shit over with. The one small piece of optimism in this whole picture is that Trump's statement, his comment that Iran's new president is more rational than the previous leadership. This suggests that he at least sees the possibility of a deal someday. But in the short-term picture, based on all available evidence, is that this conflict continues, and that means oil stay elevated. I think I heard Trump say something along the lines of he making this shit last long. I think I heard Trump say, I could have been ended this shit. I'm dragging this shit out. It was the weirdest shit ever. If he, don't quote me, but he said something along the lines of, I could have been ended this shit. Which is weird to me, because it's your fault we paying all these. Like, end it then if you're going to do it, buddy. Like, what the fuck what do you got going on? What are you cooking? You know what I'm saying? Either way it go, in the short term, based on all the evidence, is that this conflict is going to continue. Oil is going to stay elevated. And the feds is going to stay cautious too. Now, if y'all been here since the beginning, if y'all got to leave, good night. I know y'all, if y'all been here since the beginning, good night. Thank you for being a part of the Ironworth Trading Show. I appreciate you for being here, and you can catch the rest of the show on YouTube. I know you tired. You know what I'm saying? Good night. Have a good night. And then you can watch the rest of it on YouTube. You ain't got to stay up. You feel me? I got to send some of my members to bed, y'all, because they'll stay on here to go to sleep with me on the live stream. Go take your ass to sleep. Trump trying to get a rate cut out of this, says John Beasley. Makes sense to me. Something cooking. He got something cooking. Now, at least y'all, if y'all have been here since the beginning, you now understand more about global markets and geopolitics than 90% of the people walking around out there. Can you believe that? I couldn't go to sleep on you because you're one of the best I've seen on life. That's what's up, Moni. I appreciate that, man. Congratulations, but also thank you. But yeah, y'all now know more than 90% of the people walking around out there, and genuinely. So the foundation that we just laid in the last 2 hours, what the stock market is, how indexes work, what the Strait of Hormuz situation means, why U.S. and Iran matters to your wallet. That's the kind of context that makes everything else make sense, right? So now we can actually build on that. See, this is more personal. I want to make sure I'm going to talk a little bit about oil, not stocks necessarily, but oil itself and what the current price means for your actual life. We're going to talk about gold as a safe haven and what it signals about where we are economically. Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk about that for a second. Nah, it's some things that y'all might not know. I mean, I know y'all know gas is made from oil, obviously. Jet fuel, of course. But the plastic in every water bottle you've ever held the synthetic fiber in your gym clothes, a lot of your regular clothes, the rubber soles on your shoes, the ink in your pen and printed books, the asphalt on the road that you drove on today, the fertilizer that grew in the food, that grew the food in your refrigerator, the packaging that your food came in, the lubricants in virtually every mechanical device you own, the foam in your mattress and sofa cushions, the contact lenses that a lot of y'all wear, the aspirin in your medicine cabinet. See, oil is not just fuel. Oil is the raw material for thousands and thousands of products that modern civilization depends on. So when they say oil is the lifeblood of the global economy, they are being almost literally accurate. Right? We are so dependent on petroleum products that removing them would collapse our current way of life. So when oil prices go from $70 a barrel to $100 a barrel, a 43% increase, the cost inputs for nearly every industry rise substantially. And those costs work their way through the supply chains, right? And we end up feeling this shit because it's going to show up for higher prices. We've been talking about that. Now, WTI, crude oil, the American benchmark is at $100 a barrel. Today, it had a genuinely wild session. At one point, oil was down almost 7% from its morning high. But why? Because there was ceasefire signals. Y'all remember we talked about that earlier. Now, oil is a time bomb right now. Y'all know that eventually this shit gonna be over and oil could go back down to like $70 a barrel. The question is when? That's good money, right? That's good money to the downside. Imagine catching the puts on oil for when this shit is over with and the oil prices come back down. If they come back down. I don't think it'd be that simple. But this is urgent because a lot of people missed it today. So they missed this whole oil move completely. So when the Strait of Hormuz first got disrupted, oil shipments were not immediately cut off to zero, right? See, oil is loaded onto a giant tank called VLCCs, very large crude carriers. These ships can hold 2 million barrels of oil. They take weeks to sail from the Persian Gulf all the way to Europe, Asia, and America. So when this shit first hit the fan, it was already dozens of these tankers already in the ocean, fully loaded. You see what I'm saying? They was already selling toward their destination. That oil was already on its way before the disruption. So that pre-war oil is the supply window. A buffer of oil that's been keeping the shortage from hitting us fully. We got some refineries are still processing oil that was loaded before this shit took place. You got gas stations that's still getting supply that came from refineries that was still processing that oil before this shit popped off. The system hasn't fully emptied out yet, but they are now saying that window closes in about a week or two. So 2 weeks from today, that pre-war oil buffer is going to run the fuck out. That little cushion that we got is going to run out. And it's going to have to be some new shipments that's going to have to be made. It's going to be new shipments. Either have to brave the conflict zone, which is dangerous and expensive. So we're going to have to see some ships actually make their way through that zone and say, fuck what's going on. We got to deliver this shit. Or they're going to have to go the long way around. They got to go all the way around Africa. That's going to add 3 weeks to the whole journey and more money. And the volume of oil that can physically arrive through either route is significantly less than what was flown before this shit started happening, either way it go. Oil industry finally in a recovery phase at these prices. Example given, profitable. That's what John Beasley said. But either way it go, when this supply gap hits, it hits hard and fast, y'all. Diesel, yeah, that powers all the delivery trucks and the farm equipment. That could spike sharply. Jet fuel could spike. And the airline price, everything is going to get more expensive. This is all the show been talking about. But gold has 5,000 years behind it of being right. Gold has 5,000 years behind it of being right. Gold is up for the fourth consecutive trading day, approaching $4,800 per ounce. 2% gain just today, and I want to give you a real deep understanding too of why gold does what it does. Yeah, it is dangerous. What if they want to cut too while they bullshitting? Africa could want they cut too. But yeah, gold is one of the most misunderstood assets in finance. Okay, gold has been considered valuable by virtually every human civilization that has ever existed. The ancient Egyptians were obsessed by it. They buried their pharaohs surrounded and dripped and draped in gold. My ancestors rode on horses that was fresher than the kings of England. They had gold on. The ancient Romans also used gold coins as currency. Chinese emperors collected it. The Aztecs had so much of it that the Spanish conquistadors crossed an ocean to steal it. Okay. Every major civilization on every continent at every point in history, in human history, has independently decided that gold is valuable. You see what I'm saying? So that tells you something profound about human nature. Why does gold have this universal appeal to it? First of all, it's fucking beautiful, dog. Right? It's beautiful. That warm yellow glow that's it's immediately attractive to the eye, right? It's rare. You can't just make more of it, right? So all the gold ever mined in human history would fit into a cube about 70 feet on each side. It don't rust, tarnish, or decay. Gold coins from ancient Rome still look like gold today. So you can cut it into smaller pieces without losing its value. It's portable. You can carry significant wealth in relatively small amounts of gold. But in modern financial terms, gold serves a specific role. It's a store of value. That's what we use gold for. It is a safe haven, right? A store of value means gold holds its purchasing power. I can buy some shit with this gold. An ounce of gold in ancient Rome could buy you a toga, a high quality Roman garment, right? But today, an ounce of gold at $4,800 can buy a very fine suit. The purchasing power has stayed roughly the same over thousands of years. Meanwhile, a paper dollar from 1900 can buy almost absolutely fucking nothing today. Inflation has eroded nearly all of its original purchasing power, but gold protects against inflation in a way that cash simply cannot. A safe haven means that during times of crisis, during wars and financial crashes, investors flee to gold. That's why it's called a safe haven, a safe place to put their money. When people don't trust banks, or they don't trust stocks, or they don't trust the government's currency, they trust gold. It has always been worth something, and they believe it'll always be worth something. So in times of maximum uncertainty, gold demand spikes. When gold was down and y'all wasn't hoarding that shit, y'all was tripping. See, right now we got a perfect storm for gold. You see what I'm saying? We have an ongoing war. We got all this fear going on around the world. We have oil prices up around over $100. Inflationary pressure, right? So we got a weakening US dollar. This makes gold relatively cheaper for overseas buyers, for international buyers. Increasing demand. We have an uncertainty about Federal Reserve policy. We got questions about whether global supply chains can hold. Every one of these factors is a reason for us to own gold. Again, this is not for financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. And together they all hitting at the same time. That's why gold has been rising for 4 straight days and it's approaching $4,800. So again, this is something y'all should think about. Louis said gold reached its peak already for the decade. All right, Louis, whatever. You must got a crystal ball. You got a crystal ball, Louis? No, I'm just playing. I disagree, though. I disagree. But the only way they said that same shit before. You could have 20 M's and I still would disagree. Now, gold don't pay you interest. I want y'all to think about this. Gold doesn't pay you interest. It don't pay you dividends. It just sit there. The only way you make money on gold is if the price of it goes up. So why would sophisticated institutional investors, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, billion-dollar hedge funds, why would they own gold if it pays no income? Can y'all tell me? Because the protection that it provides them against catastrophic scenarios is worth more than the income that they give up by not owning bonds or dividend stocks. They use it for insurance, y'all. It's very expensive, very effective insurance against the worst case scenario in the world. That's what they're using it for. So It can't go down too much in value, Louis. You see? Even if it did reach its peak, fine. That's not my point. My point is it holds its value. That's my point. That's the topic. I'm gonna skip. I know everybody don't care about the shit I care about, so I ain't really. I'm for time's sake, I'm not gonna go over aluminum because the Middle East aluminum supply chain is disrupted as well. I can go on and on about that as well, but we won't get to make it to the rest of the shit I got to talk about. Yeah, let's go in. Let's talk about the watch list, the Wednesday night watch list. I wanted y'all to talk about right now. Anyways, so again, if y'all new here and you just not coming in, right? If you just your first time, welcome. Hit that follow button, right? Go watch the replay from the beginning of it on YouTube because you missed a lot of good information. But for now, we're gonna dive into some individual stock stories, maybe a bit of crypto market analysis before I leave. TikTok, don't do this. Don't do this, TikTok. United States is the biggest thief, says Gary. Louis says real estate only, no stocks, no gold, unless I'm in DFA for offset. Well, Louis, everybody don't got $8 million like you, right, Louis? So you're gonna hit a little different. What you do is gonna be different. Now, I want y'all to know how to read a stock mover, at least the right way. At least the right way. Before I go through today's biggest movers one by one, I want to teach y'all a framework for how to think about stocks that move big in a single day. Because the reaction that most people got when they see a stock is up 10% is, damn, I should have bought that. And most of the time that is the wrong reaction, right? When a stock moves in the stock market dramatically in a single day, either up or down, it's usually because something changed. There's a new piece of information that became available to the market that wasn't there yesterday, whether it was earnings coming out, a new story breaking out, whether a product got approved or rejected, a major deal was announced, an executive resigned, the list goes on. Something new happened. Here's the key. By the time you see that shit going up 10% on your phone or your laptop, your computer or whatever, the people with the fastest computers, the most sophisticated algorithms, the most direct access to news, they got 8 screens up and shit. They done already priced in most of that information. The easy money, that shit, the move from the old price to the new price based on the new information, that has already been made. Okay? By people who acted in milliseconds after the news hit. If you see it hours later on TikTok, you are not getting the same opportunity that the fast traders got. The link should be in my bio, Elevate Essentials. But if not, you just type in Ironworth Trading, the same name I got here on TikTok. Ironworth Trading is the YouTube. Thank you. So yeah, if you see it hours later on TikTok, the move, you late. If you see it later, you just late. That don't mean that the opportunity is gone for you. You definitely shouldn't have FOMO, but it means you have to think differently. Instead of chasing the one-day move, the question is, ask yourself, does this new information change my long-term view of the company? Is this a reason that the stock is there a reason that the stock should be worth fundamentally it's time to go to bed, fundamentally more over the next 1 to 3 or 5 years? Or is this a short-term pop-up that's going to fade? So, for example, we got Western Digital up 10% because of the AI data center boom that is driving demand for storage. Have y'all seen SanDisk in Western Digital? Western Digital has went up for 8 straight months in a row. SanDisk, and then SanDisk exploded, y'all. So the question is, Western Digital, is this well positioned to capture another long-term demand? Is it positioned to capture any long-term demand? That's the kind of analysis that turns you from a headline chaser into a genuine investor. Yeah. So as we go through the movers, I want y'all to practice asking not why did it move today, but does today's news change the fundamental trajectory of this company? That's how you build real investment thinking. I make all that dram. I make all that DRAM. What you talking about? Oh, you make all that DRAM. Okay, I know what you talking about. The RAM. You make it? Is what you telling me? Louis, I got a little brain fart there trying to put that together what you meant, but I get it now. Are you telling me that you make RAM and DRAM, buddy? Yes. Okay. Well, no wonder you got $8 million. Okay. And it's an honor to have you in the live stream. I'm gonna shut the fuck up talking to you crazy. I'm gonna put some respect on your name. Not because you got $8 million, but because you make DRAM and RAM. And we need you in the world, people like you. I'm thankful that you didn't end up doing something else in life. All right, now look at the winners. Look at the winners board on the screen, y'all. Western Digital, Micron, Intel, SanDisk, all of them up 8 to 10% in a single day. These numbers are extraordinary for companies of this size. Y'all don't hear me though. I'm gonna build a full picture for you though. What is AI actually made of physically? Everybody can answer except Louis. Louis, you can't answer because I know what you do. Come on, y'all been running my mouth. Can y'all tell me what is AI made of? We use AI, but what is it made of? Come on, TikTok, stop the cap. They telling me I'm not. Just stop it. I didn't say nothing wrong. They be sending me little pop-up messages threatening to get me out of here, y'all. Y'all might want to join the Discord in case, I get suspended or something. Information says that's a good answer. But I want to know physically though. So when most people think about artificial intelligence, they think of the software, the chat bot on their screen, the recommendation algorithm on Netflix, the voice assistant on their phone. But underneath all of that, all that's underneath the information, the software is hardware. I'm talking about physical computers, servers, chips, memory, storage, like you said, information, but the information is on something physical. You see what I'm saying? AI runs on something, and the something that it runs on requires massive amounts of physical computing infrastructure. So we got to talk about that for a hot second. I'm gonna give y'all a sense of scale. ChatGPT, just one AI product from one company, processes an estimated 10 million conversations per day. Each conversation might involve hundreds of thousands of calculations. All of that gets stored. Your question, the AI's response, the context needed to understand the conversation, the training data for future improvements. Now, if you multiply that by every AI product from every company, Google, Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, all these new startups, dozens of startups, and the data storage requirement is almost incomprehensibly large. You got to understand they need a lot of storage for data. We talking exabytes of data. An exabyte is a billion gigabytes. The scale is staggering. I can't explain it to you without fully nerding the fuck out. It'd take a whole nother hour to explain gigabytes and exabytes to you. Now, Louis could probably explain it in a few seconds. Now, layer 2, who builds the physical infrastructure? When a technology company needs to run AI at a scale, at a big level, who builds the physical infrastructure for the company? Elevate says, I heard when SanDisk was going up, but didn't know how to buy. Damn, that hurts. That hurts. That hurts, Elevate. It hurts me to know, but it's okay. We're going to make sure that never happens again. We're going to make sure of it. Now, who builds the physical infrastructure? A data center is essentially a giant ass warehouse, ladies and gentlemen, full of computers, big computers, computer servers connected by high speed networking. And then they got to cool this shit down using industrial air conditioning systems, and they powered by enormous amounts of electricity, a lot of electricity, enough electricity to power a small city for one data center. So the servers in those data centers are made up of processors, CPUs, and GPUs, plus memory chips, storage drives, and networking equipment like what Louis make. All right, so then we're going to talk about Oracle too. I like Oracle right now. It's at a wonderful buying level. And that's my opinion. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you Oracle is at a good buying level. Now look at the news card on the screen. Let's look. Oracle is $16 billion data center. $72 billion actually, right? They $72 billion announcement. Look at the news card right here. Oracle, which is one of the world's largest enterprise software and cloud companies. If I'm not mistaken, they own TikTok, right? This is the company that owns TikTok. So today we learned that related developer firms are finalizing a $16 billion financing package for a new Oracle data center campus in Michigan. This company has been on an absolute tear of data center spending. They spending a shit ton of money. Now they putting a data center campus in Michigan specifically designed to power OpenAI's applications. They putting this shit out there just for OpenAI's applications. That is on top of the $38 billion in data center financing that was arranged for Oracle facilities in Texas and in Wisconsin. Peaches says a lot of local governments are discussing bringing data centers in North Carolina. The same thing is happening in Indiana as well, Peaches, from what I've heard. Right. So now that's on top of the 38 billion that they was putting in Texas and Wisconsin, plus another 18 billion for New Mexico. That's $72 billion for one company's data centers. It's a lot of money. Now, $72 billion in data centers is an order for enormous quantities of servers, processors, memory chips, and storage. That's where the connection to today's stock movers becomes crystal clear. Western Digital and SanDisk made hard drives and flash storage servers. Micron Technology makes DRAM memory chips like Louis, the millionaire in the chat, that makes the memory chips, the short-term memory that servers use to process data actively. Okay, Intel makes processors, the brains of the servers, and also has memory product lines. When somebody spends $72 billion, not $72, $72 billion on data centers, Western Digital, Micron, SanDisk, and Intel are all in the supply chain for those data centers. Do y'all hear me? I think I just smushed that shit together so fast y'all ain't really understand what I'm saying. I'm gonna say it again for the people who didn't. The fact that this company is spending $72 billion, there are other companies that will benefit from this supply chain, from this situation. Because they spending $72 billion on data centers, Western Digital gets some of that money. Micron, SanDisk, Intel, they all could go up because of that. Now, is this lasting opportunity? The AI infrastructure build out is not a one-year trend. This is not a bubble, y'all. The race amongst companies to build AI capabilities is getting faster. It is accelerating. It is not slowing down. Every major corporation in America is trying to integrate AI into their business. I've been screaming this shit for a year now, right? I caught on late because I should have been saying it for 2-3 years. ChatGPT, all this AI is not new. This is not new. But this year and last year and this year, oh, shit getting very serious now. I knew it when the Nvidia market cap got to the level it got to. So every government in the world is investing in AI right now. This is like when they was trying to make it to the moon, with the race to the moon. So the demand for data centers and for all the hardware that fuels them is going to grow for at least the next 5 to 10 years. I'm letting y'all know now. This makes the storage and memory semiconductor space one of the most interesting long-term investment areas in the market right now. Right? And that's the most responsible thing that I can say to y'all is do some research before you invest. You need to understand and understand why a sector is growing. That's the first step. The second step is you figuring out which company in that sector is best positioned. Strong balance sheet. You need to learn how to read all that shit. It's a skill set. You need to, most defensible competitive position to take in this situation. You need to learn how to do all that. Step 3 is understanding what you're paying. Is the stock's price already reflecting all this good news? Is there still some upside? Can it still grow? None of these are easy questions, y'all, but they are the right questions, right? I gave you the map. The journey is yours to take. Eli Lilly up 3.78%. That's a pharmaceutical company. And the reason for today's gain on them is actually also really meaningful health story. I wanted to talk about that for a while, but I ain't finna go too deep into it because it's 107. Now, y'all heard about Ozempic, right? I know a lot of y'all know about Ozempic. Y'all know about Wegovy and Ozempic, the weight loss shit. So them medications was made by a Danish company called Novo Nordisk. Novo. MVO or yeah. Novo Nordisk. Now, Novo has become household names in the past 2 years because they work remarkably well for weight loss. Y'all know we was the overweight country. So it's popping over here. But yeah, they are what's called GLP-1 receptor agonists, which is a fancy way of saying they mimic a hormone in your body that naturally releases after you eat. That hormone tells your brain, I'm full, I'm done eating, I'm done, I'm full. The drug essentially amplifies that signal, making people feel full on much less food and reducing their cravings significantly. Okay? Now, the clinical trials show weight loss of 15 to 20% or more of the body weight. You're going to lose a lot. You're going to lose some weight. But the catch is, y'all still with me? All right. The catch is they are injections. They injecting this shit. Ozempic and Wegovy are weekly self-injections. While millions of people have happily given themselves shots for the benefits of losing a big ass back, there's a substantial portion of the population, maybe a majority, that is simply not willing to inject themselves on an ongoing basis. See what I'm saying? Needles are a genuine barrier for a lot of people. A lot of people like, I ain't fucking with the needles. But Eli Lilly's new drug, I don't know how to say this, Foundayo, which just received FDA approval today, is a GLP-1 based weight loss medication in pill form. See what I'm saying? You swallow a tablet, ain't no needles, same mechanism, same class of drug, pill form. Okay? For the tens of millions of Americans who want help with weight management, but they ain't fucking with the needles. I don't mind losing about 10 pounds. Hey, listen, I have an 8-pack. So I pop one of them pills. I'm just playing, y'all. I'm just talking shit. But listen, I'm serious though. For a lot of people who don't fuck with the needles, this is a breakthrough for them. But for the overall, the company went up because of that. As an investment story, the weight loss drug market is enormous and it's still early. This is still early for this weight loss shit. The CDC estimates about 40% of American adults are obese. That means 4 out of 10 of y'all ass is obese. I'm one of them. I weigh more than I should for my height. You shouldn't be 230 pounds at 6'1". They think I'm supposed to be like 190, but I'd be skinny as hell if I was 190. That don't sound right to me. No. I really wouldn't mind being 10 pounds more of muscle, but according to these motherfuckers, I'm obese. Right? I don't like they system that they go off of to see if we obese. I know y'all be looking at the doctor like, you ain't finna tell me I'm obese. I seen some obese people. Don't use that word obese. Why beast gotta be in the middle of it? You calling me a beast? I'm just playing, y'all. Either way it go, globally the numbers are staggering. So the people, the analysts, the ones who do these surveys and shit and these studies, they have projected that this drug market could reach $100 billion per year or more by the early 2030s. That ain't far from here. In the next 4 to 5 years, potentially making it the largest pharmaceutical category in history. We got Eli Lilly, along with Novo Nordisk, is one of the two companies positioned to capture most of that. You understand what I'm telling you? Put them on your watch list. This is Watch List Wednesday. A new pill form product that removes a major adoption barrier is a significant competitive move. They took away the needle. Now you can just pop a pill. So Lilly stock went up. It was up 3.78% today on that news. That was in one day. But if you zoom out to the longer term, Eli Lilly stock has been on a multi-year tear. It's been fucked up. Like But they have been rising dramatically as the GLP revolution has unfolded. Now, whether the best is still ahead depends on how well this pill performs, how much it's going to cost, and how the competitors respond to this whole situation. Nike crashed 15%. Nike down 15%. One of the most recognizable brands on earth, the swoosh. They done survived a lot of shit. But remember, y'all, the stock price doesn't reflect how cool the brand is. It reflects whether the financial performance of the company is meeting investor expectations. Are they selling? Is they making money? Are the profit margins healthy? That's what we want to know. Is the management making good decisions? Are they growing in new markets or not? You can love Nike sneakers all you want. You can wear Nikes every single day. You could be the most loyal Nike customer on the planet. Some of y'all got a closet full of Nikes. And Nike stock can still be a terrible investment if the financial performance isn't there. Okay. Inversely, on the other side of that, there are incredibly boring companies, businesses that make pipes, process insurance claims, etc. Those are absolutely fantastic stocks, the boring ones, because they financials are strong and they consistent and they growing, right? So the business and the brand don't have to match. Remember that. But Nike, their earnings report revealed challenges that investors found seriously concerning. Without getting into specific detail because of time, y'all, the general picture was, I forgot that this ain't even on the screen no more. Hold on. I'm talking about gold. I'm talking about Nike, and I got gold and oil up on the screen. Thank y'all for listening. But yeah, the general picture was the sales growth isn't what they thought. Nike wasn't making money like people thought they was. So they lost 15% in one day. That means if you owned Nike, you lost 15 cents on every dollar that you had invested in one day. So a lot of people hold millions of Nike shares. That's hundreds of millions of dollars gone in hours. That's why management at major companies take earning calls very serious, okay? So when you elevating in life, you doing good. I always used to watch people when I was, younger. I watched them shoot dice, and I used to wonder why won't you just leave while you up? Why do you always stay in it? And why won't you just leave while you up? I don't want to. I ain't never like shooting dice or none of that because I'm leaving while I'm winning. Now, whether y'all just looking at Nike, whether to invest in a company or put aside your feelings about the brand, whether you investing in it or whatever. Put aside how much you personally like the product. That's what I want you to do. Ask the cold questions. Is this company growing revenue? Are they profits healthy? Are they managing debt wisely? All right. The answers to those questions are going to tell you what the stock is likely to do, not how cool their commercials is. And SpaceX IPO. SpaceX has secretly filed for a U.S. IPO. This could be the biggest IPO in years. SpaceX is estimated to be worth $350 billion. All right, I've been building towards this all night. I told y'all at the start I had something special saved, and this is it. SpaceX has secretly filed for an initial public offering. Let me start by giving y'all some background, because if you ain't deeply familiar, I want you to understand what kind of company this is before I fully talk about the IPO. It was founded by Elon Musk in 2002 with absolutely one goal, one audacious goal. He wanted to make humanity a multi-planetary species by colonizing Mars. Now, you think that sounds like science fiction. So did everybody who heard he say this. Everybody that heard him say this shit 20 years ago. But this is what SpaceX has accomplished in those 20 years. They built the Falcon 9. Currently the world's most reliable and most used orbital rocket. It has launched over 200 times with an extraordinary success rate. What makes the Falcon 9 revolutionary is that its first stage, the booster, which is the most expensive part on the rocket, lands itself after launch and can be reused. Before SpaceX, every rocket booster was thrown into the ocean after one use. SpaceX brought them back like airplanes. They literally catch the booster on the land. I don't know if y'all seen this shit happen or not. It really is amazing. You can watch a rocket ship take off into outer space and then come the fuck back. Like, I watched the rocket ship parallel park back into the parking space. They not bullshitting. They literally catch the booster on a fucking landing pad. It's extraordinary. So this cut the cost of getting to orbit by more than 90%. They built the Dragon spacecraft, which is what NASA uses to send astronauts to and from the International Space Station. I don't want to talk to no flat earthers. I'm a flat earther, but I don't want to talk about that shit right now. That ain't gonna make us no money. The United States was actually dependent on Russian rockets for years after the space shuttle retired. We talking about SpaceX for some money on, okay? I don't give a fuck if they ever go to space or not, buddy. Where is that? Yeah, but anyways, they built Starlink. Starlink is a constellation of satellites in low Earth orbit. They built Starship. And now this company, SpaceX, is valued at roughly $350 billion right now in private market transactions. So to put that in context, $350 billion makes it worth more than Boeing. It makes this company worth more than Goldman Sachs. It makes it more than most major corporations that you'd have heard of already. And it ain't even IPO'd yet. And yet ordinary investors have not been able to own a single share until now. Here's how the IPO process works, ladies and gentlemen. I want y'all to be ready. This ain't going, what happened before ain't going to happen this time, Elevate. Okay? Now, SpaceX has quietly filed, secretly, confidentially, they call it a S1 registration. You see what I'm saying? So what's called an S1 registration statement with the Securities Exchange Commission. This is a legal document required for a company to go public. It includes detailed financial information about the company, the revenues, the profits, etc. Everything that us as investors need, that we need to actually be able to evaluate the investment. So they filed it down. They filed it confidentially. You know, a lot of major companies are allowed to do this initially, right? They don't have to do it out loud. To review the SEC's comments before making it public. That's what they did. So now this is standard for big IPOs. Apple did it. Google did it. Meta did it. The company works with the SEC privately for a few months to finalize the filing, and then it becomes public, and then the roadshow begins. Now, the roadshow is when the company CEO and the CFO travel to a bunch of financial centers in New York, Boston, San Fran, London, Hong Kong. They present to the largest institutional investors in the world. And yeah, pension funds, wealth funds, endowments, hedge funds, all of them competing to get an allocation of shares at the IPO price. SpaceX has hired Bank of America, JP Morgan, Chase, Citigroup, and Morgan Stanley, literally the 5 most powerful investment banks on Wall Street, as their underwriters. So those banks are the ones who manage the IPO process and place shares with investors. Now, should you try to buy SpaceX on day one of the IPO essentials? I gotta walk you through the honest answer. Because this is where so many people make mistakes. See, IPO investing is genuinely one of the trickiest areas of investing. And here's why. Because, you know, the IPO price is set by the investment banks after the roadshow based on how much demand they see from institutional investors. So big institutions get to indicate how many shares they want at what price. Then the banks set the final price and allocate the shares. With institutional investors, almost always get priority in this situation. But me and you, the retail investors, the regular people with brokerage accounts, typically we have to wait until the stock starts trading on the open market. And by then, the price has already moved significantly from the IPO price. Sometimes it popped 20 to 30% on day one. Sometimes it opened flat. Sometimes, you know, it's overhyped. And it open up high, but then it fall back down over the next week or the next month. So you got to be very careful. I don't want you to have fear of missing out to buy SpaceX on day one. But you got to watch this roadshow coverage. We want We want to read the S1 when it becomes public. All right. We're going to look at the financial details. We're going to decide. We're going to understand what we're paying for. But we're going to decide what makes sense. What we need to know if the price makes sense for the long term. That's how you invest in an IPO wisely. The company will still be there in month 2 and in month 6. The patient investors who buy after the initial hype fades away, they usually get better prices than the people who rushed in on day 1. You feel me? Don't stop ever loving me. All right, here we go. Crypto. Where my crypto bros at? Where the crypto ladies, the ones who invest in the crypto? Where my crypto investors at? We'll talk about this shit for a second. Oh, I'm restricted. It's all good, TikTok. I ain't tripping. Bitcoin today briefly touched $69,000 before pulling back to close around 68, a little bit under 69,000, 68,269. Essentially flat on the day. Now 69,000 is a psychological important level for Bitcoin. We keep seeing the price bounce off of it. So whenever you dealing with trading, y'all, whenever you you making technical analysis, right? This is the study of price patterns and movements. There are things called support and resistance levels. And basically, resistance is a price where a lot of people have decided to sell. Maybe they bought Bitcoin at 40,000. Now it's at 69,000. And they've been waiting for it to hit their target price to cash out. Or maybe professional traders got computer programs that automatically sell Bitcoin when it reaches a certain level. Whatever the reason, when a price approaches a resistance level, all them sellers flood the market at the same time. And whenever you see more selling than buying, the price will get pushed back down. Bitcoin has bounced off the $69,000 level multiple times. Every time it get close, sellers overwhelm buyers and knock it back. The pattern is visible on the chart, and it's why traders watch this level so closely. The question everybody in the crypto space is asking right now is, when does Bitcoin actually break through 69,000 and stay above it? Because or go below it and stay below it. Because once it closes above that level for several days in a row, then the dynamic will change. The $69,000 sellers, they already sold. The new buyers, they see the breakout as strength, and then they pile in. I do think one day we'll see 200,000 on Bitcoin once the rally start back to happening, though. Ethereum had a better day than Bitcoin, though. Up 2.6%, closing at $2,152. Ethereum is the second largest cryptocurrency by market cap, and it has fundamentally different purposes than Bitcoin. All right. Bitcoin is primarily positioned as digital gold. They treat Bitcoin like digital gold. It's a store of value. Ethereum, however, is a programmable blockchain. It's a platform that other applications are built on. They damn near using Ethereum and Solana and, to make meme coins and shit. But the fact that Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin today is a signal. It's a small one, but investors are feeling slightly more adventurous on Ethereum. See, Bitcoin is seen as a safe to crypto bet, but Ethereum is seen as having more risk, but also potentially more upside, because it's 2,000. It can go. Ethereum could be the same price as Bitcoin one day. But we got some risk appetite in crypto growing. That's how, because Ethereum leading Bitcoin. That's a sign. That's generally positive for the broader crypto market, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to address the elephant in the room, right? Bitcoin is trading very closely correlated with the stock market right now. When the stocks go up, Bitcoin tends to go up. When the stocks fall sharply, Bitcoin often falls too. This is different from the digital gold narrative that says Bitcoin should go up when everything else goes down, right? So in crisis conditions, what we've seen is that investors sell whatever is liquid, including crypto, to raise cash. They just trying to get their money so that they can, in the short term. Don't assume Bitcoin is going to protect you, if the stock market crash. But yeah, they're doing it so they can be cash heavy. Now, the longer term bull case for Bitcoin remains, fixed supply of 21 million coins that can never be increased, growing institutional adoption, growing awareness of fiat currency debasement from the government spending. They was talking about this shit so much last year. It's like not even on their top. We dealing with this war right now. They like, listen, we're going to talk about the Bitcoin after we're done. But understanding both sides of the argument going to make you a better informed holder or a non-holder, right? One last thing on the currency side. The U.S. dollar fell for a second straight day. This is an interesting macro development. Usually when there's a war, the dollar strengthens because of its status as the world's reserve currency and safe haven. But the fact that the dollar is weakening while a war is happening, that's telling us that this suggests that investors are questioning the fiscal and economic impact of this conflict. We want to know, what this got on the future of the economy. We know high oil prices is high inflation. We know that there could be a recession on the way. But nonetheless, these factors are pushing the dollar lower. And a weaker dollar is good for commodity prices. It's good for gold. It's good for crypto. It's good for U.S. economies that do a lot of business overseas because they foreign revenues translate into more dollars when they bring money home. I know it sounds crazy, but yes, a weaker dollar is good for commodity prices. Good night, Elevate. Yeah, so I'm gonna close out too, Elevate. I'm finna get up out of here too. Don't leave. I'm just playing. You get up out. You can get up out of here. I'm about to leave too though. So yeah, that sums it up, y'all. That's about it. I'm gonna close the bell. Everything ended up. The Dow Jones was up. The SPY was up. NASDAQ was up. All three indexes closed higher. This was a second consecutive green day, and I don't think it'll be tomorrow. But we want to pay attention. We want to be on the lookout for it tomorrow. If y'all haven't already, hit the follow button. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the follow button so you don't miss another live stream. So I do this a lot, but I've been doing this for a while now. I put everything I have into every single episode, not because I'm trying to get famous, not because I need the views, but I remember what it was like to not understand any of this shit, to feel like the financial world was a secret club that I didn't have a password to, right? Or to feel like money was this mysterious, intimidating thing that other people understood and I was always behind on it. But I remember the exact moment that this shit changed for me, and finally, somebody sat down with me and explained and said, look, this is somebody I was helping. I said, why am I helping you? And you got all this money. You rich, 7 figures, and you coming to me for help. They said rich people have financial advisors and accountants, and they don't have as much money as them. Don't ever think like that. It just changed the way I looked at stuff. I also read a few books that changed the way I look at things too. But I learned how markets work. I learned how money flows. Why what happens in the news affects what happens in your account. And it was like a light came on. And I thought everybody deserved to have this light turned on. Everybody, not just people who went to fancy schools. I learned how to read a candlestick chart, and I started teaching people how to read a candlestick chart. That's why we here. That's why this show exists. And we just went through 2 hours. We on 1 hour, 58 minutes. Now we had 1 hour and 59 minutes. We almost made it to 2 hours. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk for another minute, and then I'm gonna get up out of here. So y'all can tell me good night before I go. You know what I'm saying? Give me one more comment for the engagement's sake. That's all I need. If this show educated y'all tonight, thank you. Thank you for being here. Congratulations. Please hit the follow button. Tag a friend who needs this. Send it to them. One share from you might change somebody else's financial life forever. You don't know whose mind is ready to be blown open right now. So your share might be the thing that reaches them. Follow this account if you haven't already. Come back, y'all. You feel me? And third, if you ever need to take this to the next level, if you want personalized coaching, you need a real game plan for your specific financial situation. You want guidance on how to actually start investing or accelerate what you're already doing. I'm here for that. Send me a message, inbox me your name and your number, and the best time to call you. We could talk about what that looks like. Okay, the show is free. It always will be. But for those who want to, actually walk side by side on this journey, we can make that happen. Your investment in your own financial future is the best investment you'll ever make, period. ! I'm Coach Price. This has been Ironworth Trading Wednesday night watch list. It was pretty long, but it's all right, though. We made it make sense. Every story, every number, every lesson, it was for you, from me, with love. It's Thursday, April the 2nd. We're going to make today twice as good as yesterday and half as good as tomorrow. Y'all know knowledge is the ultimate asset, right? Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. You need to use it, share it, build with it. All right, I'm going to see y'all back here again tomorrow night. Get y'all some rest. Take care of yourselves. Bless every single one of y'all.